right, you absolute degen. Since you want to know how to get girls to like you, and it's a very beautiful morning, I'm going to show you. I just used this yesterday at Target, and I picked up this attractive blonde girl, and she texted me first. Skinny nerds, balding men, and even 5'4" Asians are all using this to get girlfriends right now. And it's so ridiculously simple that even if you drool on yourself and you don't know how to do multiplication, you can still use this to attract women. Now, before I teach you the 3 steps to get girls to like you, we first have to talk about how not to get girls to like you. Because guys do these 2 idiotic behaviors that lowers their value in the eyes of women, and they ruin it with girls they otherwise could have probably dated. And if you want my personal help, I created a system that helps men have massive confidence, and it helps them be able to communicate with women attractively, which results in an amazing dating life. Click the link below this video and book a free call. All right, so what are the 2 things that guys do that think will attract women, but it always ends up backfiring and exploding in their face? Well, number 1, they try to convince girls to like them with logic and words. Let me tell you a story. A few years ago, I had landed a pretty good job, and I thought I was hot shit. I thought I was king of the jungle at this point. I got a date with a girl that I actually met from cold approach. She was a pretty attractive girl. And we go to this park for a date that overlooks this dam at a river. I know, pretty weird date spot, but let's just keep going and ignore it. So because I think I'm king of the jungle, I start bragging to this girl about this job that I got. And I thought that it would create attraction, obviously, but it didn't. So the way that it played out is she immediately said, "Oh, I know a ton of guys who do that same job. Actually, my friend does that too, and he makes a ton of money." And so my ego was immediately shattered. How do you think I felt when I had spent years thinking that all I had to do was make money and then flex it? And then I did it, and the girl's like, "Oh, I have a guy friend who also does that." How do you think that made me feel? And then how do you think the rest of that date went? And how do you think that made me look to the girl that I was bragging about my job? When you try to convince women to like you, it's like repulsive to them. Like they know what you're doing. And also, the person who is explaining themselves like in an interaction is the lower status individual. Think about when you're interviewing for a job, for example. The interviewer is the one deciding if you're good enough, and you're the one explaining yourself to the interviewer, right? So that's what it kind of is when guys go on a date and they're telling the girl about all this logical thing. It's a concept called show, don't tell. Like if I'm an attractive guy, then I don't need to tell you I'm an attractive guy. I want you to figure that out by yourself, and then it's more real for you. It has more of an emotional effect when you figure it out. Like let's say, for example, I'm telling you a story. I got into a boating accident, I don't know. But let's say in this story, I had mentioned the fact that there were 5 girls in my boat as well. But the point of the story was the boat accident. Well, now the girl's gonna pick up on the fact that I had 5 girls in my boat, and she's basically gonna think I'm a total G and basically think I'm a high status guy. But it was slid in there subtly, rather than if I just told the girl, "Hey, I had 5 girls on my boat the other day, by the way," and that's the end of it. Well, then she's gonna know I'm bragging to her. So now she knows that you're basically trying to force her to like you, when attraction is an emotional thing that then gets justified by logic. Like a girl will get attracted to you, and then she'll find logical reasons for why she's attracted to you, in the same way that a girl will lose attraction for you, or maybe a girl might even cheat on you. Hopefully not. Hopefully you're not dating women like that. And then she will justify it with logic. She will rationalize about it afterwards. But really it was because she felt like it. Like I can't logically convince you, for example, why something I cook tastes good. I can't be like, "Dude, no, here's the reason why it tastes good. It has these atoms in it." If you're just like, "No, I don't like it," then what? I can't convince you. I have another example. So my aunt, who's a very like beautiful and classy lady, very intelligent, very amazing lady, She was dating a doctor at one point who she said was boring. So she ended up leaving the doctor for my now uncle. And he's, a pretty fun, interesting, cool guy. All right, but he makes less money than the doctor. He still makes a decent amount of money, but I mean, not as much as a doctor. The thing is, my aunt liked him emotionally. She didn't care that the doctor made more money because the doctor didn't make her feel that excited or adventurous, I guess. Who knows? And so the second behavior that ruins everything is guys try to get girls to like them through validating the girls. Many guys over-compliment the girl. They'll be like, oh, you're so cute. Oh, you're a nurse. Wow, that's amazing. That takes a lot of courage to do that. So they'll be like complimenting them on every thing they do. They will act too interested in what the girl's talking about. Like, let's say the girl's rambling about something like, I don't know, doing makeup or like ponytails or dolls or something. And the guy's like, no way, I love dolls. Wait, that's so cool. You play with dolls? Tell me more about your dollhouse. And it's so BS and it's so weird and fake. Another thing they'll do is they'll agree too much to what the girl has to say. And they'll be like, yo, that's so true. And so basically they're just like simping to be playing with it. And it's not attractive. And they think it's nice. They think, oh, I'm being a nice guy. This is what I'm supposed to do actually. Or they think that what they're doing is they're shooting their shot by over complimenting, but really they're cheapening themselves as men. All right, so for example, what happens when a country prints too much money? Inflation. The money loses its value and it becomes worthless if it goes too far. What happened to the boy who cried wolf too many times in the village? People did not believe him anymore. They didn't take his word seriously because he was always crying wolf. What happens when I text a girl every 2 minutes of the day? Then my attention is worthless. And so the same thing happens with validation. Too much giving validation, it cheapens you and it cheapens your word. It cheapens what that validation actually means. And women know that it's not genuine. Like, you're genuinely not that excited about some girl that you're just gonna compliment her about every little thing. Like, really? Like, dude, you're just trying to get in her pants. Like, you're not that excited. Okay, maybe not. Maybe you genuinely like her and she's an amazing girl. It's like if you were a billionaire and everyone just wants to be your friend all of a sudden when you became a rich guy. Or like, let's say you bought a boat and all of a sudden everyone wants to be your friend. Well, you know that's probably because they want to go on the boat, right? So girls know that when you're overly nice to them, well, it's probably because you want to look at their boobs. So now you know what not to do. Here's the 3 steps to get girls to like you. And what this does is it disregards all the false mainstream jargon and BS and superstition, and it cuts right to the psychology of the woman based in evolution. And based on my 4 years of experience, step number 1 is you want to be an alpha. Now hear me out. When I say be an alpha, I don't mean the alpha that you're probably thinking of. All right, because a while ago, social media gurus lied to you about what it means to be alpha. And a lot of guys got the wrong idea in their head, and it became sort of a cringed word. What social media gurus basically portray an alpha as, and then guys get this wrong idea in their head, is somebody who's like very serious. Like, they're never loose, they're never joking around. They're just they take themselves and they take life so seriously. They're clenched, like they're just super constricted personality. They're just like tight. They're rude to people. They put people down. So maybe like the guy on roids at the gym or something like that. And so really, this is just the loser who's compensating by putting other people down, by, acting tough, by wearing this mask. Let's think about what emotional state is a winner actually in? How do they actually act, and what do they feel like? So let's think about this. What does a football player do when he scores a touchdown? Is he like angry and like pissed off and clenched? Or is he like smiling and laughing and he spikes the ball on the ground and then he does a weird ass celebration with his friends where they're like rowing the boat or they're like knocking down the bowling pins? All right, so he's getting loose, he's having fun, because that's how a winner acts. That's what the real winner behavior is. It's guys who are unapologetically themselves and they're having fun. And this is what women are drawn to. And 96% of people are afraid to be themselves. Everybody thinks they're being themselves, right? It's like, yeah, I'm being me. But really, they have to exert retarded amounts of energy to put up a front and to wear a mask. And this is the reason why they're exhausted after going out and socializing. This is how I used to feel after going anywhere where there's people, school, work, a party, talking to girls. I'd feel exhausted because the whole time I was micromanaging every little word I said. Oh, I need to make this perception of me this way. Yesterday, I was on a call with a client and I was telling him about this conversation that I had with this girl in the mall. Emo girl, 20 years old, pretty skinny actually. Like, I was a bit worried about her. But anyways, I was still going for the number and I kind of liked her. She was cool. So I was telling my client about this conversation I had and he could not believe it. He could not believe it because he just started working with me recently. And so he's not used to like what really works yet that much. He didn't believe that the stuff that I was saying, because to him it seemed very far out. And I'll tell you what I was saying to this girl. So I was talking to this girl and I found out that she played Minecraft, and I also used to play Minecraft back in the day. So I decided to do a little flirting with the girl about this. And I was like, you know, what if we were mining in Minecraft and we found ourselves in a mine shaft together and we heard some water, you know, in the distance, and then we mined through the stone and we find this beautiful underground cavern and it's filled with diamonds, it's filled with rare gemstones like lapis lazuli. And you and I just found ourselves together there. And it would be so, I feel like that would be so romantic, but then I would push you in lava. Okay, and if you don't know what Minecraft is, you're probably like, what the heck is this guy talking about? Right, so there's an example of me expressing myself, having fun. And when I tell stuff like this to guys, like the stuff that I say to women, to guys, they can't believe it and they can't believe that it works. And it's funny, when I say that it works, it's almost like now somebody's gonna go copy this and use it as their own technique. But really it works because it's me, because I'm having fun, because I'm confident with it, I'm flirting too. It makes the girl imagine me and her in a romantic situation. So when I say it works because it's me, all right? And I'm letting loose and I'm being authentic and the girl can see that. Most guys try so hard to fit in and be normal that they become boring and clones of each other. Think about, like, I was in like a fraternity for like half a semester. I wanted to see what all the hype was about. And everyone in there was like a clone of each other, like, and it was kind of lame. So when you stop being fake and being trapped and being afraid, not only will women be attracted to you, but they will also admire you. And this is something I never hear people on the internet talk about. Well, they never talk about admiration, they only talk about attraction. Like, you know that feeling when you admire somebody. This might have been like a childhood hero, and you sort of have like that head nod feeling of respect. Well, when you're unapologetically yourself, women will have head nod motions towards you because they will see that you're a leader and that you have freed yourself. And the best analogy is from The Matrix, really. What also will happen is when you express yourself, women will open up as well because they will recognize the vibe. And I know that sounds kind of weird, but they will recognize the vibe. And they will open up emotionally too, and they will start to have fun too. And basically, you can't connect with somebody when they're not opening up. Thing number 2 is becoming the selector instead of being the chaser, the peasant, all right? Let me tell you a story about how I discovered this. 4 years ago, I was sick and tired of being a lonely peasant and using dating apps. I was sick and tired of trying to meet women through my social circle, and there's like 2.5 women there. And I heard of this concept called going out and meeting women in person. Could you believe it? Talking to girls, right? So I went out. I went to the malls, I went to the parks, I went to, places like that, and I would meet women. And so a lot of these women would give me, the time of day. They would talk to me, and they would take my validation, and they would take me giving them all my attention, but I rarely ever felt like a spark, like there was attraction coming from their end. So I very rarely got a number, and when I did, most of the time it would flake or they wouldn't respond to me, and I never knew why this was happening. I was so confused. I was like, is this because my t-shirt is weird? Do I need to be like 7 feet tall in the air? I didn't know until I started reading history books. Okay, I started reading history books and I started to see the world from a different perspective. And I saw how men used to think about themselves, used to behave, used to treat women. And it totally shifted everything, because what happened was I realized I was being fed modern propaganda that basically told me that women were above me and that women were goddesses and angelic creatures that were always perfect and always above me. And me as a man, I should feel guilty. I was basically an idiot, because I was a man, and it was my job to convince women to like me. And I realized through reading history that this is not the natural order of things. This is not how things should be. This is not how things have ever been. That's what led to my 4-year mission, where I really wanted to know how to communicate with women in a way that creates passionate attraction and fulfilling relationships where there's respect. And here is what I learned through trial and error, through mentorship, through going out into the field and then saying, "What's up, girl?" I learned that the guy who's picking up the girl in his car and going somewhere with her is not chasing the girl. He is what I call the selector. This is a guy who's not cheapening himself by over-validating the girl. This is a guy who's not cheapening himself by failing to recognize his value. This is a guy who is not folding and feeling bad for being a man. This is a guy who always assumes the leadership position. Now, this is huge, guys. What he's doing when he's assuming a leadership position is he's taking winning shots. And this is so crucial that you need to know this right now today. When you are going along with the mainstream way of doing things, when it comes to behaving towards women, like they're goddesses, like they're always perfect, you need to kiss ass, and you're not assuming the leadership role, then what you're doing is you're basically cutting all chances off of you entering into a relationship where there's passion and respect. And what you're doing is you're also greatly diminishing how attractive you could be. Your potential is being diminished by this, guys. And I'll tell you why. Women are all programmed to follow. They have a yearning desire to follow a man who they admire and who they are attracted to and respect, regardless of what they say. All right, the reason that women have to act like they don't want to follow and they don't want a leader is just because of feminism, obviously. And so this isn't women's individual fault. This whole feminism thing that was created was before their time. This happened I don't know, maybe in the 60s or something like that. As a woman, you're almost a traitor and you get outcasted by your friends if you acknowledge your true nature and desire to be led by a man you respect. And when a man doesn't lead, he's robbing her of that satisfaction that she has that deep down desire that she wants. And the man is robbing her of that, and he's robbing himself of that, okay? And so I forgot one key detail of the story. So when I figured out that I was going against my true nature, I realized that this is why I always felt weird talking to women. Like, I used to go out and I used to feel sort of like weak and like beta and like a chump after I would talk to women. And so it was because I was going against my true nature. So the stuff that I'm talking about right now when it comes to men being leaders, I'm not inventing this all of a sudden. This is the way that things are programmed in our brains. It's not just some relic of history. This is how we evolved to be. And the more that we go against human nature, the more that we have less good dating lives and we have more bad dating lives. But I'm actually serious. Yeah, the attraction's just less potent when you're not the leader. Both you and the girl feel like there's something missing. The sex is less passionate. It's just like missionary every day. The respect for each other is lessened. The girl might start doing whatever the heck she wants if you don't learn this stuff. Now, when you're the leader and the selector, you are actually playing to win. Here's what I'm saying when I'm saying that you are playing to win. It doesn't mean that every girl will fall madly in love with you. Obviously, man, nobody gets every girl, no matter who you are. What I'm saying is that when you're the selector, you're actually taking the swing that has the potential to hit a grand slam, which is potent attraction and a beautiful relationship with a girl who respects you and listens to you. And I've seen this in my own relationships, how this plays out when you learn this stuff, guys. Like, one example is, like, I went to the beach on a vacation. I met this pretty attractive girl, a bit crazy though, bit crazy, I'll be real. So we hang out a little bit on the vacation. After I leave and I go back to my hometown, she hits me up like a couple weeks later and she like wants to visit me. And I'm like 4 hours away from the beach. And I'm like, okay, I mean, if you wanna come, I'm not gonna stop you. Like, I'm not against that, it's your life. And so she comes and visits me like all the way from the beach, and I had only known this girl like 2 or 3 days. Now, what I'm not doing here is I'm not bragging. I'm not trying to say, oh, I have this amazing dating life. But what I am saying is that that's what happens when you learn how to do this stuff. All right, because I want you guys to do this stuff. I actually find a lot of joy when I see guys have success. And the third thing that happens after step one, which is learning how to be yourself unapologetically and have fun and be confident, and step two, which is learning how to be the selector, not the chooser, is step three, which is the bandwagon effect. Okay, so the other day I was in the bar, like usual, and I feel like every story I say starts with that. But I got this girl's number, and then we separated in the bar, and she went over here and I went over here. And so I get into this other group that has, I think, 3 girls and 1 guy in it. And the first girl, we'll call her Stacy for the heck of it. So Stacy, I'm talking to this group, and then Stacy walks by on the way out the door, or she was like, hey, text me later. Very like clearly in front of the group, like everybody heard it, and they all reacted, and they're like, oh, what was that? And I was like, oh, she was a good gal. She was a cool girl. And then later, one of the girls in that group, who I've known since middle school and we're friends, she starts talking to me and she's like, oh, those other 2 girls in the group, they said you were really sexy. And then one of the girls just comes up to me and she starts asking me about myself, like, oh, are you Italian? But either way, so the point of this story is that these girls that were in the group weren't that attracted to me until that one girl walked past and she said to text her later. So what happens is, if girls see that other girls like you, they automatically like you. It's just a psychological thing. And the reason why this works, the girl's brain, it wants to give a shortcut and figure out who the attractive guy is, right? How do we easily find out who the attractive guy is? We look to see who other women like. And so this is why I enjoy going to nighttime venues. By the way, I also go out during the daytime, but I have to go out during nighttime. I have to, as much as I hate staying up late. I mean, there's just so many chicks. But the reason I want to go there is because there's so much potential once you have step 1 and step 2 for the bandwagon effect to occur, to take place. Mystery says that a girl doesn't know that she's attracted to you until she feels the jealousy of thinking about you and another girl. And I have to say, Mystery is a pretty smart guy, and I have to agree that the bandwagon effect, it helps. Now, if you want to start the bandwagon effect now, like you want to get that cycle rolling where it's almost like automatic attraction because women sense that other women like you, and you're sort of done with having like a boring and unfulfilling dating life, then I can directly help you, just like all the other guys that I'm helping right now. Click the link below this video and book a free call. But what I have to say is that if you're somebody who's truly serious about drawing the line in the sand and finally making a change in your dating life, then book a free call now, because I only work with a small number of men at a given time. Unlike these big YouTubers who say, oh, come work with me directly, and really they pair you with some random Craigslist guy that you don't even know. No, I actually give my clients my full attention. So if you're ready to start getting this bandwagon effect rolling, then book a free call, and that's all I have for today, guys.